Picture this. All different phones with different features, yet somehow they are all very similar. Phones that can adapt to what you want it to do. Phones that can be both expensive and budget. Phones that can charge other phones. Phones that all run on the same operating system. Now picture one type of phone that's limited to its own world. One that isn't flexible, and one that can't adapt to what you want it to do. What sounds better? You tell me. Good morning, Miss Holman and fellow classmates. When you look around, you probably see most people with Apple phones. But what about Android? Android, Apple, what's the difference, you may be asking yourself? Well, Android is a phone operating system founded by Andy Rubin in 2003. Soon after, Google bought out the company in 2005. The first ever phone running on the operating system was the HTC Dream, or also known as the T-Mobile G1 in 2008. Now many different phone companies run on Android, including Samsung, Huawei, Xiaomi, LG, and basically almost every phone that isn't Apple. Apple, on the other hand, was founded in 1976 by Steve Jobs. Apple runs on the operating system iOS, and is the only kind of phone to run on iOS. iOS was released in 2007 with Apple's first iPhone. Android and Apple may both be related to phones, but they're both really different. It seems that Apple phones are everywhere, and that everyone has one. But is that really the case? I must say, it's not. Android actually takes up most of the market share of mobile phones. Market share is a portion of a market controlled by a certain company or product, in this case, phones. In 2018, Android represented approximately 85% market share of all mobile phones. Meanwhile, Apple only represented approximately 15%. As you can see, Apple is not at the top. For a phone company, Samsung has the highest market share, even higher than Apple's. In the second quarter of 2018, Samsung represented 20.9% market share, and Apple only represented 12.1%. Samsung has been on top for a while, and will probably stay there for a long time. Also in that second quarter, a phone company called Huawei actually passed Apple's market share with 15.8%. You may think Apple is on top, but around the world, Android is dominant. What does everyone want from a phone? Fingerprint ID, camera quality, speed. With Apple, you may only get some of these, but with Android, more options are everywhere. One of the coolest things about Android is that you have the choice of different phone companies. You can basically pick the type of features you want with which phone company you pick. But with Apple, it's limited to the one phone company and only the features that release on that single company. On the new iPhone X series, the phones don't even have fingerprint ID. It only has Face Unlock, which is proven not to be 100% reliable and 100% safe. With Android, you can pick if you want one of those or if you want both. With Apple, you have to buy their special chargers, and you have to buy Apple accessories specialized for the iPhone. But meanwhile, with Android, you can basically have any accessories that you want from any company. Do you want to switch to Android yet? Compared to Android, Apple definitely doesn't win in the feature area. You're probably thinking to yourself, why should we listen to this guy talk about why we should all be on Android? Like, what does he know? Well, it turns out I know a lot, since I myself used to be an Apple user. Before I started to use Android, I was full Apple. The iPads, the iPods, the iPhones, I knew nothing else. And in my mind, I just did not like Android. Once I moved to Android, I never really thought of moving back to Apple. Not saying that Apple is at all bad, but I'm just saying Android is better in my opinion. When you're on Apple, it's hard to change. You know nothing else. But when you do, it's like an entire new world of phones just opened up right in front of you. I like Android better. Maybe if you switch to Android, you would think the same as I do. Picture this. You go into a phone store looking to buy a new phone. You've been with Apple your entire life, so you immediately go to the iPhones. Then, from across the room, you see that newest Android phone, and you think to yourself, does Apple have everything I want from a phone? Can Android give me a great phone experience? Can Android be better than Apple? The answer is yes. Make the switch to Android if you haven't already. Trust me when I say this, you will not regret it.